Are you ready for the best damn radio show on the planet? Man Hour Nation, rise up.
You don't want to be every time, no. I would like to personally welcome you to Man Hour After Dark. Say that then. While I bring you the host, Mike, Buck, and Cone. You know who's coming to the stage. Sports talk than what you about to hear right here. I second that.
Go. You know that it's us when we talking about sports. Giving you facts on the field to the core. Tune in, we need the support. 1 hour too short, still listen some more. On all your stations, not dropping no music. Starts like Adidas, but Nike just do it. Down 4 in the 4th, we go for the win. Michael 2 seconds, we taking it in. Buck, Mike, and Combs, you know what's going on. Man, now we're after dark, no LA, we the big spark. No 4th and inches, won't cut short. Got the best talking, it's all sports. Buzzing more than buzzer beaters. We coming live all through your speakers, go.
And what is going on, Man Hour Nation? It's your boy, BC Brandon Combs, coming to you live on Sunday morning. Talk about some Chicago sports. We got a bye week this week with the Bears, the Cubs. We don't know what they're doing. Can't get a shortstop. Missing out on everybody. They did go get Cody Bellinger and Jameson Taillon, so we'll talk about that. Talk about Wilson Contreras heading over to the Cardinals as my stomach turns as I talk about it. Talk about the White Sox. I know Fitzy has some stuff to say about the White Sox, so without further ado, let me bring on my co-host, Ryan Fitzgibbons. What's going on, Fitzy?
Hey, what's happening? Damn straight, I got something on the Sox. Whew. Bray, you gone. I'll do a post-mortem on that for sure. Bye week. Where's your best bye week destination, Combs?
Are they underdogs in the bye week? Is the bye week favored to win against the Bears this week?
Yes, probably. Hey, if there's 2 minutes left to go and Justin Fields has the ball.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, you know,
he's probably on a beach somewhere right now or maybe coming back from one.
Right. And let's get into it right here as I break my damn microphone as we're going, because that's what we do when we're live.
You're loud enough. You can just scream into just yell into the computer.
Yeah, it was in my way. Anyway, so we got the Bears, and we watched what happened last week, right? You get a 2-minute drill from your guy, and you're expecting him to do something good, and he throws an interception, throws into triple coverage. You're down by 9 points. He was trying to make something happen. You know, even the interception to Jair Alexander on that freaking, that was supposed to be a hook route, which the receiver just turned around and didn't hook. I mean, I would blame that one more on Fields than I do the final interception, right? You're down by 9. You're trying to make something happen. You're getting pressured. It's not going to do you any good to run. But my take on that game is simply this, is the Bears did not want to win that game. The organization, the coaching staff, they did not want to win that game. Justin Fields was running all over the Green Bay Packers, doing everything he wanted in the first half. And for those of you, John Fitzgibbons, your brother, who say that this man cannot throw deep, he proved you wrong 3 times in this game. And those deep balls get them in position in the second half. And what do? 3 straight plays each time that they get in within position to score. 3 straight times they run the ball. They take it out of Justin Fields' hands. You're one playmaker, and you take the ball out of his hands with a chance to score, with chances to beat the Green Bay Packers. And you can see every time they panned in on the sidelines, Ryan. You could see it every single time. They pan in, and you can see the look on Aaron Rodgers' face. They're giving it to us. They're giving it to us. We're going to come back. We're going to beat them. And it's going to be funny because Bears fans are going to lose their minds. And I'm still going to be able to laugh and talk about how I own them and I love playing here.
The salute.
It drives me nuts, man. Did the Bears give that game away or am I just seeing it wrong?
Oh, no, I think you're seeing it right. I mean, 3 runs right there. That's like Dowell Loggins type football. That's, what is it, Dave Shoup type football or John Shoup, sorry. But yeah, I mean, that's that kind of football. It just boggles the mind. What are you trying to trick everybody? I don't know. I mean, I guess they're at the goal line and their comments are going to be obvious that they're trying to protect their quarterback, but really
Trying to protect your quarterback. You weren't trying to protect him in the first damn quarter on the first series, coming back off a shoulder injury. When on 4th and 1, you ran a quarterback sneak straight into the damn line. You weren't worried about his shoulder then, but now all of a sudden in the third quarter, when you're up by 16, now you're worried about his shoulder.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff going on with that. I mean, that was just super conservative for an offense that hasn't always been conservative. I mean, you run the ball, you run him 3 times. Granted, he missed a draw play back in that Falcons game, but I mean, I think, yes, you could take that takeaway, but I think the other takeaway is look at how good they played when Justin Fields is in. Look at the difference from the Trevor Siemian week to this week. I mean, it's like 2 different football teams.
Yeah, I mean, look. To me, the Bears were tanking. That's just what it looks like, and that's why coming down the stretch here, these final 4 games, all I can imagine is that they're going to continue to tank. I can't imagine they're trying to win football games over the last 4 weeks, and they've got a pretty tough schedule down the last 4 weeks. Now, you could go out there and be competitive and still lose because you're going up against some pretty damn good teams.
Yes, one of the best 2 teams in the league next couple weeks.
Right.
Eagles,
Bills, and you could be competitive and still lose these games and still grow. Now, I don't agree with what I hear a lot of right now, and that is people in the sports world talking about, the Bears should start sitting guys that are hurt. They should rest Justin Fields and not play him the rest of the year. I completely disagree with that stuff because you want to see growth still. You want to see how he reacts. Maybe you get an overtime game. You want to see how he plays under pressure. But how are you going to see that stuff when you're trying to tank?
I don't know. And how are you going to see that stuff when you run, David Montgomery 3 times? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't see the play calling at the end. I put on Facebook right before the game, or maybe a day or 2 before the game when we knew Fields was a go. This is the only game I want them to win. This is the last game of the season they could win. They'd still have pretty good draft capital, and we could talk a little bit more on that. But I don't know. The play calling... And you think, and people think Luke Getsy is going to be a head coach next year? I mean, that's got to be way too soon.
I don't think he'll be a head coach next year, but I think in 2 years, because I really do believe, and I said this on the national show earlier this week, because somebody asked me about the Bears and about where they can go and what they can do. And we're going to talk about the draft here in just a minute, but I think that the Bears next year, with the salary cap they have, with the position they are in the draft, I think that next year they could quite possibly have a top 5 offense in the league. I really do. Because I think they have the ability to go get the pieces that will make this team one of the best teams in the league. That this offense and people talk all the time about Justin Fields not being the guy. I don't get it. I don't understand people talking. I don't understand on the radio. I don't understand people, how people, local fans even, can sit there and talk about how Justin Fields is not the guy. And I have fans all over Facebook telling me, oh, Justin Fields, he can't do this and he can't do that.
Do they have eyes? Do they have eyes? I mean,
he shouldn't be winning right now, and he's finding a way to compete.
Are these box score sports fans?
They've got to be.
If you look at the box score, you're not going to see a lot. I mean, it's not too flashy, although 80% pass completions, 10 yards per completion, which is something I do want to talk a little bit about. This guy really does put the ball down the field in a check down league, in a league that becomes more and more check down each year.
Right.
He's really pushing the ball downfield, which I think is still important in this league. I do. You're going to throw some picks, but I mean, I think with his accuracy downfield, I think that's going to make up for it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're looking at a box score or what. I think one of our first discussions, the first time we talked on here, I said Aaron Rodgers is probably the best quarterback I ever seen. You said, what about Tom Brady? And yes, obviously Tom Brady is the best quarterback of all time. It's kind of hard not to say that. But if you watch them both play the game, if you actually watch the game and you watch Aaron Rodgers play, you cannot say that he's not more talented. He doesn't make the harder passes more than Tom Brady. I mean, I just think he does. And the same thing about Justin Fields. Watch the game.
Yeah.
Watch the game. I think his best pass actually wasn't even the St. Brown pass. I think the pass to Cole Kmet was the best pass, where he's actually making time for himself. He steps up in the pocket. So the guys are on either side of him. He stops. He can run for 10 yards there, and he sees Kmet coming down the sideline and floats it over to him. I mean, I thought that was a great pass too, and probably his third, fourth, fifth receiver at that point, because Kmet is coming off a block there. He blocks and then comes off the line as I guess if you want to call him a wide tight end would do. But
yeah, and I like what the Bears have as a core, right? But right now we sit in a position to have the number 2 overall draft pick. Okay. And I know we've talked about what we want to see from the Bears as number 2, right? Like, I'm all over, they need to go ahead and get wide receivers in the draft.
Pass rusher.
And you want a pass rusher.
Yeah.
And so what do you think the Bears, what is the organization going to do with the number 2 draft pick?
I think it's pretty obvious, and we sound kind of dumb a couple weeks ago, but I think they're trading down. I mean, don't you? I think they're trading down, either get a pick, maybe a second round pick this year and a first round pick. I don't know exactly what draft capital they'll have when they get there. Looks like they're probably going to lose out or come close to that. But I think they're going to trade down. Maybe you get a first round pick next year too, and now you're stacking picks. And this whole thing, Combs. I mean, really, we're pointing to 2024, aren't we? There's nothing realistic. There's nothing realistic. We'll get to my brother's comment in a second. There's nothing realistic about 2023. I mean, you're not going to completely turn this team around. Maybe it has happened in the NFL before. It's not like it's unheard of, but I don't think that we're going to have a Bengals, comeback, turnaround year next year. I think we're all pointing to 2024.
This got to be just because Joe Montana went to
Notre Dame.
Yeah. It's got to be the only reason he says that, because
drink chicken noodle soup. Swag is still weak.
I'm gonna have to help you out with some of that. I got some stuff for you. I got a let's see. I got a couple of pictures that we can hang up for you. Some White Sox pictures. I think I got a Robin Ventura autographed photo you could put up in the background there. We've got some jerseys you could throw up there. So we'll help you out there, Ryan. So that way your brothers stop getting all over you about that. But let's get back to the Bears and their draft, because I don't let me preface what I'm about to say by saying this is not what I want to happen.
Here we go.
This is not what I want to happen. I think that Justin Fields is the future. I think that Justin Fields is the guy. I think that Justin Fields, when you build around him, is going to be a top quarterback in this league, and I think he's going to be that for a very long time. But the Bears, as an organization, have not shown you anything to show that they are sold on this kid. So what if, with the number 2 overall pick in the draft, instead of trading down, instead of selecting an edge rusher, instead of selecting a wide receiver, what if they go and get this quarterback out of Kentucky that everybody is saying is the best prospect since Peyton Manning? Because wouldn't that be so Bears? Wouldn't that be what this organization does to us time and time and time again? Like, what if instead of trading the number 2 overall pick, they trade Justin Fields to like the Green Bay Packers?
Never.
And they take Matt Levis with the number 2 overall pick. Tell me that wouldn't be the most Bears thing to do in the history of Bears.
We should do drug tests before you get on the podcast.
I'm just saying.
There
You
is-
start looking at this, not only that, but he's a quarterback, and we know how Virginia McCaskey, who is still alive somehow, some way, she needs to die. I
Blood
gotta do
pressure
it
check.
one time per show.
blood pressure.
Some
check.
way, somehow, needs to get herself a franchise white quarterback.
Oh, racism, huh? I don't know.
I'm just saying.
I don't know.
Just saying.
You can't do it. You can't do it. There's no way. Well,
I agree.
I will say it's Bearsy because who the hell is in charge? They were
Right.
saying that Mike McCaskey. Well, I said Mike again. Anyway, they were saying that him or Ted Phillips were going to be looking to see if Justin Fields was going to play a couple of weeks ago. I mean, which was like, who the hell is in charge? Are you kidding me? Shouldn't the coaching staff and the training staff have something to say about that? I don't know. So yeah, it's still, you still kind of scratch your head at who's in charge. But I think Ryan Poles is in charge. I do not see them getting rid of him. I think the Bears have shown that they're kind of doubling down on Justin Fields with the trade for Chase Claypool, who was down, by the way.
Yeah.
And didn't fumble that damn ball. What the hell is going on with replay? Here's the thing with football. I don't know what a catch is. I don't know what out of bounds is. I don't know what a touchdown is. I don't know what a fumble is. I don't know what pass interference is. I goddamn right. I don't know what a block in the back is. I don't know. I mean,
well, let me ask you this question then, and this is something that's been brought up a ton. This is something I've had conversations all over Facebook and even in person about. Is officiating in the NFL worse than it's ever been?
It's got to be. How do they get these calls? And I talk to my he can't throw down the field brother all the time about it. How did they get him so right in college? I mean, how many times do we have this many plays in a game, or the biggest play of the game, or the refs just completely insert themselves into a game and make it freaking boring? I mean, How many times does that happen in the NFL? And it doesn't happen in college football that much. I mean, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's that sport. It just lends itself to a lot of those weird plays where things are so close that you don't even know what the hell happened. But in college football, it just doesn't seem to happen that much.
Well, the first thing I'll tell you is stop talking to your brother about sports because he clearly does not know anything because he's still going on a rant about how Joe Montana never needed a field goal kicker to win the Super Bowl. Never needed a field goal kicker to win the Super Bowl. No, he just needed two Hall of Fame wide receivers, a Hall of Fame running back, and a Hall of Fame offensive line. That's all he needed.
Yep.
That's all he needed.
His wife, I think. I don't know.
But he does come up with a good thing here. Refs are on the take. And this is one of the things that I've been all over for a couple of years now, is that Vegas has a lot to do with the outcome of NFL football games. They just do. The refs are on it. The owners are on it. And you can't convince me otherwise anymore because there's too many coincidences where you see stuff called in one part of the game and then not called in the other part of the game. The inconsistency in the refereeing, the inconsistency in the calls, and the amount of times that it has affected the over, under, the spread, anything that has to do with Vegas is way too coincidental for me to ever think that this is not actually a thing. So, yes, I do think refereeing is at its worst, but I also think it's just because now it's more blatant that they just don't care. They don't care. And the NFL isn't saying anything about it. The NFL isn't coming out and defending the refs. They're not coming out when the play, and that's why, I don't know, media doesn't talk about it. Players don't talk about it. There's a couple of them will here and there, but then they get fined for it. Nobody talks about it. And that's the thing that drives me nuts the most when you're sitting there watching a game and then all of a sudden you know it's a blatant missed call and the announcer's like, oh yeah, they got that one right. And you're like, no, they didn't. What are you watching? What are you watching that you can justify what you just seen called? And to me, it's just goes to show that Vegas runs the NFL, as we probably just got kicked off of every platform that we're on just by me saying it.
We're not going to have any MGM commercials at any time. You're not going to see Jamie Foxx.
All right, Fitz, you know what? Look, hold on. Hold on.
I think
Joe Montana never lost a Super Bowl, but he only got to 4 of them. How many has Tom Brady been to? Tom Brady has been to 10.
Jeez.
Tom Brady is the only quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl as a home quarterback. Tom Brady is the only quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl when down by 20 plus points. Tom Brady is the only quarterback to ever win 7 of those 10 Super Bowls, John. 7. That's 3 more than Joe. 6 more than Joe even went to. Stop it. Stop. You're looking foolish. I know you love Notre Dame. I love Notre Dame. I love Joe Montana. But it's not even close. It's not. It's a landslide away. Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. Stop it. Sorry, I had to get that out.
Do you think when I wonder what happened to my brother's brain when he saw Joe Montana on a Guinness commercial?
Probably what happened to his brain is probably why he's over here making all these stupid comments.
Yeah.
He probably had a seizure or something, and now he's only got the left side of his brain left, and so now he's just talking with that.
But to bring us back to the the downfield thing that I don't get he can't throw downfield. He's one of the more prolific QBs throwing down the field this year. He just is. Even last year he was, and I know we want to forget about last year, but even in the small playing time he had last year, got hurt for the rest of the season. He had a lot of deep balls. He threw down the field a lot successfully too.
And John Ryan, sorry, to defeat your brother's point, I sent you a thing earlier this week, right, that showed the statistics of offensive teams that have the most big plays in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And through week 13, the Chicago Bears have the most big plays in the league.
Yep.
They have 68 rushing plays for over 10 plus yards and 31 passing plays for over 20 yards. 99 total big plays on the season. Second is the Philadelphia Eagles with 97. The Kansas City Chiefs only have 87. So the notion that he can't make a big play or he can't throw the ball downfield is just an asinine take.
It is.
For anybody to have that take, it shows that you're not watching, because the Bears, even though they're 3-10, lead the league in big plays.
I think he's got to get the nuanced plays right. I mean, right, the intermediate, the touch plays, where he's got to take some off, put some on, whatever. Sometimes he puts way too much on some of those plays, and he's just whipping the ball, especially right up there at the line of scrimmage. He's missing those plays. A couple of those touch passes to tight ends in the end zone during that Washington game that just comes to mind. But
right,
the deep plays are not the problem here.
And that's the thing. Like, part of me think there is a couple times where I'll see him throw a ball and I'm like, damn, he really missed that one. That did not look like a good pass at all. Part of me wonders if that has to do with the offensive line, if that has to do with the lack of talent around him. Does he trust his wide receivers with the amount of drop passes he gets every time he looks at St. Brown? Like, I mean, is this one of those things where he just doesn't trust, so he's trying to do too much, or he's indecisive on when to and when not to throw the ball? I don't know. I think we're going to get a better version of Justin Fields, which is crazy to talk about, right? Because how good has he been this season? I mean, there's been talk of, and I never really take these guys seriously, but there's been talk on ESPN about Justin Fields possibly being an MVP candidate, right? So if you're going to get a better version of him with more talent around him next year, imagine how good you're going to be.
I think that's why they're bad at the end of games too. You make this offense one dimensional, Combs, and they're just not gonna show up. I mean, when he has to go back to pass, and I think it was that Atlanta game. Maybe that's why they ran it a lot at the end of that Atlanta game, because they knew if they were one dimensional, this offense cannot be a one dimensional offense. This offense is not going to do the Mahomes thing every other game where they're going to come back and win, or any of the other teams that are out there. Josh Allen's heroics at the end of games, again at the end of Detroit, at the end of the game in Detroit, during Thanksgiving. You can go on and on.
Yeah.
Then every time the Chiefs and the Bills play, they go back and forth. You're just not going to see that because there's no they can't play one-dimensional football on this team. They can't.
No,
they have that prospect of maybe you'll hand it off, the run pass option, play action, stuff like that.
And that's why, to me, last week against the Packers, it showed that they weren't trying to win the game, right? Because they went away from being one-dimensional, and they went a totally different route with it. You had 1st and goal from the 9-yard line after he threw that deep ball to Claypool, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had first and goal from the 9-yard line. Then you get a touchdown, but you get a holding call by Jenkins, which is the first mistake I've seen that kid make all season, by the way. And you bring that ball back to the 19, and then you run the ball 3 straight damn times with Montgomery, almost like you were upset that Justin Fields scored another touchdown, because you would have been up by 4. So, I mean, that game would have been put away.
Yep.
If that touchdown stands and if there is no holding call. But instead, you don't even try to put the ball in the end zone again. You don't even try. And so then it happens again when he throws that ball deep down to what's his face that we got from the Patriots, and N'Keal Harry.
Yeah,
that deep ball he throws at N'Keal Harry, which all my friends from New England who are Patriots fans say that's the only catch they've ever seen him make. So they were upset about that. They're like, "Oh, really? Is that the same wide receiver we got?"
Up like a top too.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very nice catch. It was to me, it was almost a better catch than it was a throw. So you get down there and you're at 1st and 10 from the 30, and you're not trying to punch the ball in. You're running it 3 damn times. Like, to me, it is blatantly obvious what the Bears are trying to do, what the organization is trying to do, and to me, that is why I went where I did with the draft pick, because I don't know that they're not going to do something stupid. Because the difference between picking at number 2 or picking at number 4 is no difference. And if you pass on this wide receiver, if you pass on Quentin Johnston, I'm telling you right now, the Green Bay Packers are only picking like 2 spots behind you. And if they get him, in 2 years down the line, we're watching Jordan Love succeed and pass you in the standings as he is throwing dimes to Quentin Johnston, who is just going up and getting the ball. I'm going to vomit all over the
I don't think that's going to happen. I think Green Bay is going to win a couple games. Their schedule is weakening. I think they're going to win a couple more games. I think
they're not good, though, John. They're not good.
Yeah.
They're not. I mean, the Bears had them dead to rights.
I don't know.
The Bears had them.
I don't. Oh, yeah. I mean, come on. They definitely did 2 scores. Plus, like you said, they get another touchdown there. They've had trouble on the goal line this year. Or in the red zone this year. They have.
And they don't get an easier schedule either. I mean, they got the Rams, then they go to Miami to play the Dolphins. They play the Vikings still. So I don't think that they have. And the Lions, to me, are the second best team in this division this year.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they are really good. So the Packers might not win another game. They really might not.
That Lions defense is going to be for real, and it ain't going anywhere because a lot of those guys are young. That is something. That Thanksgiving game showed me something.
And let them keep winning games, because that means they're not getting a quarterback. Because as long as they have Jared Goff, I'm not scared of the Detroit Lions.
No, I'm not. He is having his best year probably, with not a whole lot around him. He is having his best year. You have to say that. He played a pretty good game against the Bears, played a pretty good game against the Bills. But that Bills game, they Detroited the hell out of themselves in that game.
Yeah.
Pissed all of their pants.
And that's why the defense to me, too. The defense doesn't really say much to me. I mean, the Bears went out and put up 30 on them. They tend to lose these games where they score 40 points and they can't not give up 45. You know what I mean? Like,
no clock etiquette either. I mean,
no.
At the end of that Bills game, it was like watching Nagy coach the end of a game, the last couple minutes of the game, like, or any
With-
Lovie Smith, go ahead, put any coach in there.
So
Mark-
if you're trading the number 2 pick, what are you getting in return? What do you want to see in return? How far down do you really want to see the Bears go? Are you looking for them to trade down to 6 or 7 to try to get to, get Carolina's pick, to hope that an edge rusher is there? You got the edge rusher from Bama that's coming out this year. You got are you looking for, like, where are you looking to go? Are you looking to get another second round pick out of it? What are you looking at?
Yeah, you have a second round pick or a first round pick. If they're at 2, I would think you get a first round pick next year, and whoever's pick this year. I think that's basically going to be the price. I mean, that's what the Bears paid for Fields, and I think that's the going rate. Even though Ryan Pace fucking overpaid for everything.
Well, yeah, and that's the Bears organization, right? Because, like I said, if they stay at number 2, I think they're going quarterback. But what you could do and what you should do is the anti-Ryan Pace, right? And you should go out and you should fleece the Carolina Panthers.
Yep.
And you should say, look, for we want number 7, we want your second round pick this year, and we want your first round pick next year, and maybe even another second round pick.
Ooh, I don't know about if you're
you go out and because you're saying, look, if I'm giving you this pick, it means you're picking your franchise quarterback.
Yep.
Right. And we know Carolina sucks at that. So we go ahead and we tell them, hey, if you're getting your franchise quarterback, this is what it's worth to us. Okay. And if they say no, fine. Stay at number 2. Nothing says you have to pick a quarterback. Nothing says you can't go at number 2 and pick your guy. But you got the Carolina Panthers who are hurting for a quarterback. You've got what are the other teams out there that are going to be hurting for a quarterback? You got the Panthers. You got maybe even the Jets. You've got trying to think of other teams that are really hurting for quarterback.
Jets are going to be 2 down, I think. I mean, just with the wins they have, they might not have the draft capital to be able to pull something like that off. But maybe 2 second round picks. You never know.
The Steelers maybe you could say they're looking for a quarterback. The Colts, the Texans. All of these teams probably looking for quarterbacks where you can go out and the Texans are getting the number 1 pick. So you're probably not going to get anything out of them, right? But you've got the Jets, you've got the Jets, you've got the obviously the Colts.
Yeah.
Maybe even the Titans. Maybe the Titans are looking for a quarterback too.
Oh, yeah, Tannehill is definitely not the answer. I mean,
he shows it every year.
He's middling, but you're definitely going to want a guy for the future. Yeah.
So,
I mean, you are, and who knows? The Colts are interesting. You think Jim Harbaugh is going to want a quarterback? If he takes over for the Colts, I don't know.
So Jim Harbaugh to the Colts,
I know he wants to come
very
back.
Interesting, and if Jim Harbaugh is the coach of the Colts, I do believe that's where your trade is at number 2, because I do believe he'll come in and make a splash. He will want a quarterback, and he might overpay to get one. And that's my thing with the Bears is that I just hope that they understand that they don't have to trade out of the number 2 pick. Get what you want out of it. Not what you can get. Don't get what you can get out of it. Get what you want out of it.
If they get Will Anderson at 2, are you mad?
No. Look, if they get
the next Von Miller.
Well, I'm mad.
Yeah.
Right? Because because
you're on
passing on Quentin Johnston is a mistake. And I'm telling you right now, people don't believe me. TCU's offense is designed with a running quarterback. Their quarterback was in for the Heisman Trophy this weekend. He was in New York. He was one of the candidates. They run the ball a lot. They run the ball with their quarterback. They kind of have a Bears type offense, right? Quentin Johnston is a dude that can go up, and he showed it in that championship game. He is a dude that can go up and get the ball. He is a dude that has hands, and he is a 6'6" wide receiver, man. This guy is a stud. This guy is our chance at CeeDee Lamb, at Justin Jefferson. It is our chance to go out there and get a number one wide receiver, and passing on him. I'm telling you right now, we're going to revisit this because it's going to, I don't think that they're going to take him because the Bears never do what I want them to do ever. I don't think they're going to take him, and we're going to watch in about a year, maybe even 2 years, we're going to watch this kid shine, and we're going to be like, damn, Combs, you were right.
I'll
It
give
would
it
have been
to
a great
him if
pick.
that happens, but I don't know how he's going to run around if you can't block for it. I mean, what is he going to do? Run wide receiver
But why
screens all
can't
day
you
with the
fix that in
Bears?
free agency?
You can't build an entire line out of free agents.
Yeah, what are you talking? Have you looked at the free agent
Yeah, some of
market
those
with the
guys get
offensive
paid.
linemen?
Oh, some of those guys do get paid. They do get paid. They get
Tevin
paid by
Jenkins,
the
you
team
don't
that's
have to
right.
replace Tevin Jenkins. You don't even have to replace. I watched him play last weekend. I looked at Alex Leatherwood and I was like, man,
Leatherwood. I knew that word was going to be said today.
dude, he looked really good. He looked solid out there.
Again, you're going to have stopgaps. You're going to have Band-Aids over a problem.
Why is he a stopgap?
I just don't
He's
think...
a number one pick. Well, not a number one, but he's a first round pick that the Raiders let go. And we know how shitty that organization is.
Yes.
Like, so it's not like it's a big surprise that they let this guy go.
I'll give you that.
I like, and look, he had a tough start to his Bears career because he had mono when the Bears first picked him up, so he was out for a few weeks with the mono. That messed him up a little bit, but he's come in and he's looked really good. So if you've got two linemen already to build off of, tell me you can't build off of Jenkins.
You can't.
Jenkins hasn't allowed a sack all year, and he's only had one penalty, and that was last week.
He's a guard. That's why. He's not going to be in either of your tackle positions. I think you build, from left tackle out. I mean, here's the only way it goes your way is that Ryan Poles, which his profile we know is lineman, offensive, defensive lineman.
I know that's why I think I'm wrong.
Where he made his bones at the Chiefs, but it could work your way in only one way is if he has the confidence and the ego and maybe a little too much ego to say, I can build this in different ways, like you said, through the free agency. Maybe later down the draft, I can find something good like, maybe a left tackle or a right tackle or another guard or even a center, which they need to.
So let me ask you a question.
He thinks he can build it out of nowhere.
Do you put more stock in your GM to go out and get the best player available? Do you put more stock in your GM to go out and pick the biggest need? Or do you put the most stock in a GM that has the balls to go out and get his guy? No matter who his guy is, if he says, hey, that's my guy, and I promise you that this is the guy to take us to the playoffs or to a Super Bowl, and he picks that guy, no matter who it is, with the pick, what do you do? Which GM do you want?
I want the GM that goes for his guy, but I do have to completely erase my memory of the Ryan Pace era, which isn't hard because I've smoked a lot of pot in my life. There, now we got the pot dispensaries.
Yeah, we can get all sorts of. We can get all sorts of them.
Yeah, we lost Jamie Foxx. We gained Joe Rogan. No.
Yeah, but hey, look, we've got some sponsors. We've got Southside Bags out there. If none of you guys have heard of Southside Bags, link is in the bio. They have tournaments all over the place. They actually have one in Lamont today that I'm thinking about going to at 2:00. On Tuesday nights, they are at Shooters, and then on Wednesday night or Thursday night, they're at 115 Bourbon Street. You can catch me there. Probably every Thursday, if not every other Thursday, over there playing bags. They're a great group of guys at every tournament that they play. It's $20 to get into the tournament. They pay out 100%, sometimes more than 100%, because sometimes the bar will throw in on top just because they're getting good business, and then they'll help out and they'll throw extra money into the pot for the players. So check these guys out, Southside Bags. Make sure you guys are on it. And we're getting everything that they deserve, because I'm telling you, this is a great group. I was out there on Thursday night throwing bags. My partner was unbelievable. I mean, just 4 baggers like it was nothing. I'm so inconsistent. I'll hit 2 or 3 on one round, and then the next round I'll miss the board 2 or 3 times. Like,
Yes.
my consistency
Sounds
is my
familiar.
problem, but I feel like the more I play, the better I'll get. I was much more improved from the last time that I threw. So Southside Bags is where it's at, guys. It's in the bio. Make sure you click that link. Check them out on Facebook. They've got all sorts of stuff that they're throwing out there that they are running. So there is a lot of promotions out there. Definitely check these guys out. I know my guy Johnny Flores runs them. What's that?
Are you a height guy or are you frisbeeing it up there?
No, so I was. So this is the cool thing about this place, right? So my partner ended up being a guy who plays in pro tournaments.
Oh wow!
And so after we were done playing, it was actually while we were playing, I was throwing, and I was kind of like, I play defense, right? Because I know I'm not good. So I always try, if I know that the person I'm playing against likes to slide it, I'll throw a bag in front of the hole and hope that we can stop them from sliding, right?
Yep.
But most of these guys are so good that they'll slide right through my bag and just take them both in and clear the board,
Yeah.
So he was telling me, right in the middle of the game, he goes, get a little bit more height on it. You're good. You're right on it. Just get a little bit more height. I got more height on it, and I threw 3 straight in the hole. Like, this guy was unbelievable. So then afterwards, he was showing me
Bagger Vance.
Yeah, he was showing me how to like alter the material inside the bags for when you throw that it'll level it out. And I had no clue. I just grab a bag and I throw it. You know what I mean? I'm used to playing in the alley on the south side here with bags with corn in them that are made out of like somebody's sheet from last week. Like, I don't have, but these guys come in, they've each got their own set of bags. I actually just went out and ordered some. It's actually a great place. The great group of guys. There's not been any altercations that I've run into with guys who were not approachable. Guys will bring their girlfriends. The girlfriends come and they watch some of the girls play. There's some really good female players in this league as well. So if it's just something,
my ego.
Yeah, exactly. But if there's some, if you just want to get out and throw and have a good time, I mean, this isn't like if you're like, I'm bad. And my partner was like I said, he goes to pro tournaments. And after our first game, and we won the game, I apologized. I said to him, I apologize. Like, I'm terrible. He's like, no, you're good. Here, do this, do that. And as my guy, Johnny Torres, who runs Southside Bags,
all right,
chimes in. What's going on, Johnny? Good to see you in the chat. Thanks for chiming in. As I talked with him, he was showing me different things, different strategies, how to do this, how to do that. He even went online and looked at different types of bags, and he taught me like what bags are designed to do what. So it's a good time, good people. And so definitely check it out. Like I said, link is in the bio. Southside Bags is where it's at. Check us out. So let's get back to Chicago sports here. And this week has been a week for baseball nerds like myself. I come home and MLB Network goes straight on the TV. Like that's the first thing that I turn on. And I was telling you before the show this week, I turned on the TV and it was on WGN, and I was watching the news, and the sports section came on and they started talking about Wilson Contreras going to the Cardinals. And I'm telling you, every time I talk about it, my stomach turns. I turn over to MLB Network as soon as that comes on, and they have the press conference with Wilson Contreras being introduced as a Cardinal. So as much as it pains me to say this, Wilson Contreras is a St. Louis Cardinal, and I hate it. I absolutely positively hate it. It hurts me because of what they got him for. 5 years at $87.5 million, which breaks down to $17.5 million per year for a catcher who, look, I get it. He's on the wrong side of 30. He hasn't hit better than 243 in the last 2 seasons. And they don't like the way he runs a young pitching staff. And that's what the Cubs have, right, is a young pitching staff. But this guy is a leader in the clubhouse. He leaves it all out on the line. He is a fire starter. Like, I love the way Wilson Contreras plays the game. And I've said it before. There are guys that I watch out there, like even for the White Sox, and I'm notably not a White Sox fan. Not a White Sox hater either, but I'm not a White Sox fan. But I love watching Tim Anderson play shortstop.
Yeah.
because of the way he plays the game. And Wilson Contreras, for me, was the same way. Not to mention he was a part of the 2016 team, and we don't have very many parts of that team left. So there is something else there, because $17.5 million for a catcher like this is not very much money. And they're probably, if they pick up a catcher on the, like they're talking about Christian Vasquez, you're probably going to play somewhere around that with around the same amount of years for a guy like that. So there's something deeper there. There's something else with Wilson Contreras and the Chicago Cubs that the Cubs didn't want him there. He wanted to be here. At least that's what he says publicly, is he wanted to be a Chicago Cub
They're always
for the rest of his life. But there is something deeper in the organization that we're not seeing on the outside, because what I'm seeing, there is no reason why you are going to let Wilson Contreras go and bring in another catcher who doesn't know the organization, doesn't know the pitching staff, doesn't know any of the players, doesn't know the coaching staff, and say that makes more sense than paying your guy. So I don't know. Jeremiah chimes in, says they didn't want him. I'm guessing him and Ross view what a catcher should do differently. They do. I mean, they're two very different style catchers. And not to mention, I heard it this week on the Score. They were talking about, they threw out maybe there's some tension there because Willie did take at bats away from Rossi in that 2016 season in that championship run. He did take at bats from him. He did get the start over Rossi in Game 7. So maybe there's some bad blood there. I don't see that. I don't think Rossi is that type of guy. Johnny Torres chimes in, says Contreras leaving. Dude, it hurts to the core. It hurt. Dude, I'm telling you, when I watched, I love baseball in general. Like that's my passion. I love this game. I watch all off season long. I'm more geeked out about the off season sometimes than I am about the regular season or the playoffs, because I have more fun with the off season and what moves they're going to make and all this other stuff. Watching Wilson Contreras put on that Cardinals jersey, like I had tears in my eyes. It hurt. Yeah, that should hurt, man.
I don't get it. I mean, I think he's had trouble pitch framing, and I know
that's Cubs a lost art, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the Cubs really lean into that sports science. I mean, they do, into the, everything, spin rates and, uppercut swings and all that. Because I don't understand it myself, because I think he's a pretty good defensive catcher. His framing is in the bottom half of the league, but it's not that bad, and he can definitely throw guys out. And he's a power hitting catcher, man. I mean, those are worth their weight in gold, right? I mean, unless they're trying to bring a left-handed catcher in here, which are really obviously there's not many of them. There isn't. I mean, that's why the Sox gave their biggest contract ever to Grandal, who I think has been an okay contract. I mean, he's hurt last year, but he had two really great years to start his career. And if he has one more, it'll be a great contract for them. But unless they're looking for a left-handed catcher, I don't understand this move. I really don't. I think you have a good hard-hitting catcher, seems to like it here, I guess. I mean, good clubhouse presence. He's not one of these people that are going to have problems outside of baseball. I just don't see why they didn't keep him.
In pitch framing, and I've heard people talk about that all week long, because Cubs fans that aren't upset about it are talking about how he wasn't a good pitch framer and he wasn't a good defensive catcher, which I highly disagree with. He was a lot like Javier Baez, right? Very inconsistent with the bat, but could make that play that would turn around a game. How many times have we seen Wilson Contreras pick a guy off third or second or first,
throwing behind the
completely
runner,
change an inning? Like this kid is a stud. He studies the game. He watches. And he is just that energy that you want in your clubhouse. Pitch framing in Major League Baseball is going away. They're going to be going to challenges for balls and strikes. They're going to be going to automated strike zones within the next 2 to 3 years. They're already running all of these systems in the minor leagues. They're going to be bringing it up to the major leagues, which I can't wait for. As much of a purist of a game as I am, like I love this game, and I love having umpires and some of
You
the
still
human
need the
elements of
umps.
the game.
You'll still need the umps to get the game,
Well,
moving
yeah,
along. You're going to
right.
need umps more than ever with the way that they're doing a
I
pitch clock and
agree.
all that. Yeah.
But the automated strike zone is well overdue. You can't have guys like Angel Hernandez behind the plate, and God, I hate Angel Hernandez.
Oh boy,
I
brutal.
hate Angel Hernandez. Dude, he is so bad. So, and the only reason he's still in the league is because he sued them because they said when they didn't put him in the playoffs, he said it was because he was Hispanic. No, Angel Hernandez, it's because you suck.
Yes. There's a couple broken controllers in landfills from Angel Hernandez.
Yeah.
All around the country.
Right. And it's so blatantly obvious on how bad he is. They're going to go to automated strike. So pitch framing is not even going to be a thing anyway. This Wilson Contreras can hit the ball. The other thing that's going to help Wilson Contreras is now they're going away from the shift, and they're also making your infielders start on the dirt. So that's going to help a lot of hitters in Major League Baseball, which to me is crap as well because I don't like that idea.
No,
I think you position your defense wherever you want to position them. As a hitter, it's your job to beat them, right? You ever hear the old slogan, hit it where they ain't?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if somebody's positioning me in one spot, I'm trying to go the other way with it. So it drives me nuts.
It's giant. It's a giant field. It's not basketball. You make these rules. You do these shifts because the field is so big. You make those rules in basketball because the court is too small. I mean, let's face it here. And you can't have a guy sitting under the bucket on offense, for 20 seconds. You know what I mean?
So this is an interesting comment from Jeremiah. Yeah. Jeremiah says the only negative I've heard about Contreras was his body language when a pitcher was struggling and he'd bring a bad day at the plate to the field. That's interesting, right? Because he's an emotional guy. Yeah. And I can see that. I can see that from Wilson Contreras. I don't know that it should be necessarily a bad thing, right? Like if his emotion isn't rubbing off on your pitcher, then I don't know. I see it different. Maybe I'm just too close to Wilson Contreras because of the 2016. I love every player from that team. The way that team, ended that drought of 108 years of never having a World Series. Like I might just be partial to everybody that's on that team. Yeah, with the exception
of part of it too. Maybe Jed Hoyer doesn't think it evaluates or is afraid to over-evaluate his talent.
Yeah,
that was the problem at the end of that, I guess, quote unquote dynasty was that they probably their players they didn't trade quickly enough, or they probably
they didn't build around them properly. They didn't do anything to help those players out. Or push them even. They didn't bring anybody around to push Kyle Schwarber to say, hey, you might lose your spot here. They didn't bring anything around to protect Anthony Rizzo in the lineup. They didn't do any of that stuff.
They didn't get a center fielder either.
Yeah, they never replaced the center fielder.
And they messed up in right field. I mean, let's face it. You can say what you want about, Jason Hayward, but he was not what the contract paid for.
Look, there was nothing wrong with the dick bumping, Fitzy. There was nothing wrong with it. If you didn't like the dick bumping too, dude, if the White Sox would win a World Series, you would care less how many dicks they bump in the dugout. Let's be real. You would not care.
I would not care. No,
Look, if that was their thing, it was a little weird. I mean, it's not something. Look, I play softball. I play, all sorts of. I'm not going after a home run. I'm not going to dick bumping anybody. After a win, I'm not dick bumping. After a championship, I'm not dick bumping anybody. It's not something that I would choose to do as a celebration. But if that's what worked for him, that's what worked for him. I don't care. Whatever you had to do to win a World Series, whatever you had to do, even if you're doing that in the shower, I don't care. Not my problem. Just win a World Series. Win a World Series. Jeremiah says, no, you're not too close to it. I'm a Sox fan, and it was stupid to let him walk. Getting nothing for him is malpractice.
Yeah, you could have traded him last year.
There was a couple players, I thought Happ was gone. I thought that Willie was gone. Willie thought he was gone. I mean, he was crying in the dugout, hugging everybody. They were saying their farewells, doing all that stuff. But I think it was stupid to let him. I don't get it. The other thing that I thought about too with the Willie thing is that maybe Jed with all of these players is trying to get away from the Theo guys. Maybe he's trying to build a team of his guys for the next run. And that wouldn't shock me either, because a huge part of being a GM, right, is ego. It's a huge part of being a GM. It's a huge part of being a coach. It's a huge part of being a major league athlete is ego. And so it wouldn't shock me if, he's like, we'll give you this. The rumor is, though, that he took less money to play for the Cardinals. The Cubs offer, I guess, was bigger. I guess the Cubs offer was like 5 at 90. He took 5 at 87.5 from the Cardinals to go play for the Cardinals. So I think there's something there. I don't know what it is. The Cubs now go out and they get Cody Bellinger. Nice piece, especially if he can return to his form. Maybe a change of scenery will do him some good. Maybe he can hit better than 210 this year. Maybe there's something there. He's a really good defensive outfielder, which is what they needed.
Huge years. If he could get to 70 or 80% of that.
Yeah. Even as a center fielder / first baseman, I don't think he's going to be here after this year anyway, because we got Matt Mervis coming up and you've got Brennan Davis coming up. Both of those guys will be with the club probably by May this year. Okay, if not make the team out of spring training. Brennan Davis needs to heal up after his back surgery. And Matt Mervis just needs time to develop. And that's what you brought in Cody Bellinger to be. Here's a 1-year prove-it deal. You're going to hit the free agent market again. Then maybe if you have a good season here, you'll be able to prove yourself and get a big contract next season. And then Jameson Taillon coming out. He's got a new elbow. He had the Tommy John surgery, and he's been great with the New York Yankees ever since.
Yep.
So 2 really good additions. But what they did miss out on, which really hurt me, was the Xander Bogaerts thing. Missing out on Xander Bogaerts. Trey Turner, I thought it was never going to happen anyway. Bogaerts, to me, hurt a little bit, with the exception of the years.
I can't believe the years he got.
If it was going to take 10 or 11 years to get Bogaerts, I'm okay with missing out on him. You got Dansby Swanson left, and you've got Carlos Correa left. Rumor is they're still on Correa. I don't believe it, because I think he's going to want to match the 10 to 11 years that the other 2 just got. I don't want him for 10 to 11 years. I just don't. I don't want any player for 10 to 11 years. So give me Dansby Swanson at 5 to 7 for whatever you got to give him at an AAV, 24, 25 a year.
I heard he said no 140 at I think it was 8 years, maybe.
Really? So whatever you got to do, because I think that's a really good middle infielder. I think you got 2 guys coming up, as Jeremiah chimes in and reminds me that we do have Pre-Crow Armstrong coming up too. That's another outfielder that we've got coming up. The Cubs are loaded with outfield talent. I wish we were loaded with pitching talent, but we're loaded with outfield talent. And so Bellinger is a stopgap guy. You've got to go out and get the end. You can't miss on all of these middle infielders, right? Like, you've got to go out and get Swanson.
If you want to build a team, I mean, if you're at this stage where you're about a year, where you think you're about a year or 2 away, isn't that where they think they are? You have to.
Jeremiah says it's Swanson. He got married this weekend, so he wasn't doing any business.
For a Sox fan,
I did not know that.
Knows a lot about the Cubs.
Hey, look, there's nothing wrong with it. I know a lot about the Sox. I know a lot about the Sox. Nothing wrong with that. Get him, Jeremiah. Come at him. Don't let Fitzy get away with that. He's got one piece of swag in his background. Don't let him get away with that. This guy. Oh yeah, 2. I forgot. He's got a black and white picture that he printed off the internet in the background of Old Comiskey Park.
It is pretty sad.
Speaking of the White Sox, let's get into some of the White Sox stuff.
Oh, let's.
You got Jeremiah says, I know everything, right? So let's get into the White Sox, right? So they did go out and get Clevenger, as you actually talked about here on Man Hour Chicago about 2 hours before the signing actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about what they're not doing, though. They're not retaining talent. They're not going out and making moves. They're not spending money in free agency. They're the exact opposite of the Cubs, which we've heard rumors that the Cubs have a blank check. Jen Hoyer has a blank check for this offseason, which I don't believe.
I mean, I think he would have signed somebody by now, but yeah.
The White Sox are in the exact opposite boat, and we just talked about Wilson Contreras in another uniform. Jose Abreu just put on an Astros jersey, and that had to hurt for you as well.
That's sad. I mean, I think he probably meant, does it even matter if you say this? I think he might have meant more to the Sox than, yeah. Thanks, Johnny. So sorry you're a Sox fan. Thanks. I'm sorry today too. And I was sorry, what, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago when Jose Abreu, I really think that they wasted a really, really good talent. I want to go into a little bit of detail here. I mean, even if we go back, I mean, how did we get here?
That's the comment of the day.
Rick Hahn has a shop and save card instead of a blank check.
That is the comment of the day. Thank you, Jeremiah, for chiming in.
He does have to. And watching him tie himself in knots during some of these interviews saying that it's a good idea to not be spending money. This is when you spend money. This is the part of the window when you spend the goddamn money. I mean, I even go back to their to some of the head scratching decisions that they have made in the last couple of years and really ruining. I mean, baseball's a hard sport. So I'll spot you the first 7 years of Jose Abreu. I'll spot you that. It's a tough sport. They were trying to patch things together earlier in his career. The guy, only started his career with 4 years in a row of 30 home runs or 100 RBIs. I mean, that's how he started his damn career. Me and my father saw one of his first home runs in a White Sox uniform and spring training his first year. Just hit the ball off his bat. Just sounds different. He's definitely one of the best White Sox players ever. Probably one of the best Cuban plays ever. There's a lot of, older Cuban players that have obviously played more years, were a little bit better than he was, but I don't know how we got here. I mean, I've always really kind of liked Jerry Reinsdorf and had to defend him. I even had to call one of my dad's friends Hitler once to defend him. But I mean, even in 2005, Konerko gets the last ball, the last out. He gives it to Jerry Reinsdorf and says, you earned this, to Jerry Reinsdorf. And I don't know if that got in his head. At the time, Jerry Reinsdorf is 69 years old. Right now, he's 85, 86 years old. Everything up until 2020, I think I'm on board with Jerry Reinsdorf. Even when he gets that ball in 2005, it's hard to say he's not one of the best owners in sports. 6 NBA championships, a World Series. You can't say that a lot about owners. He's not a total owner. He only owns about 20% of the Sox, but he's the chairman of the board, whatever. Goes through all that. We get to the 2020 season. Even Jose Abreu says, Sox got a piece foul of Cubby spelled 2 seasons ago. Yeah, I mean, we do need a second baseman too, but let me finish my point here.
Oh, you can go. I'm just putting up comments. You can go.
Yeah. But anyway, so we get to the 2020 season. Jose Abreu even says, I'm going to sign with the Sox if I have to sign with it then. They're the most exciting team in the league. You got Jose Abreu, you got Luis Robert. You could say about his injury, being injury prone now, but after the 2020 season, you could not look at Luis Robert and not salivate at that center fielder. Eloy Jimenez, great hitter. I mean, has a chance to be one of the better hitters in the league if he can stay healthy and he doesn't jump on fences or run. You got a shortstop. You got a no nonsense. I didn't ask for for me to allow to be myself. Bat flipping. I saw the guy run up in a batter's box because he was going against a slow pitcher and go 4 for 4 with the guy. He's an absolute hitting savant. You have one of the most exciting teams in the league. And the marketing wrote itself for changing the game. It really did. And then you bring in Nosferatu Scrotum. You bring in sleepy Uncle Nosferatu, who drained this team. And I've never been a guy who thought I have a father who that's all he bitches about is management. It's like the players play. Come on, especially in baseball. You're not writing up plays. You're not doing that. You're not doing out of bounds plays like in basketball. You're not bringing in your offense. You're not tailoring the offense to Justin Fields. It's baseball. It's a guy, a bat, a ball, and a pitcher. So I never really put a lot into management. But then Jerry Reinsdorf said, hold my goddamn motherfucking beer. We're going to bring in Tony La Russa. And you could talk about the 1-2 counts, the 2-1-2 counts where he walked and then doubled down afterwards to people to say that, oh, yeah, that was the right call. You're the first guy in baseball history to do it, dipshit. Anyway,
the only
all
guy.
the lineups with Leury Garcia leading off at 180. I'll even take all of that. Keeping Giolito in where, you know, my grandmother could see that Giolito is done in a game. You could see when Giolito's done. He's not like a Dylan Cease or even a Carlos Rodon or a Lance Lynn where they can find something. When Giolito's done, he's done. And he just kept him in there. The bullpen, not having a guy up half the time. That Houston series was totally mismanaged when he did make it to the playoffs. I'll give them all of that. It's just the energy he sucked out of this team. I mean, you could actually see how you're how to build a culture and how not to build a culture. Joe Madden used to say after 10 o'clock is when you really manage a baseball team. Whether it's in the press conference or looking at your players, see who's ready for the next game, who isn't ready for the next game, who can't go, who's down on himself, who's up on himself, what they're doing wrong, looking at all that stuff. He did none of that. Did none of that. And he squandered the last 2 seasons of one of the best White Sox players ever. I just want to give one quote when CC Sabathia went against when Jose Abreu went 4 for 4 against CC Sabathia. He said, I mean, he killed us. This was back in 2019. We were all talking about how tough a hitter he is, how hard to face he is. He's one of the best hitters in the game. His swing is short, quick, powerful. He barrels everything up, man. I'm telling you, his swing is going to play forever. And which team picked him up? Which team picked him up? The fucking Astros. The St. Louis Cardinals lost a pick in a draft because they were trying to steal the sports science from the Astros and what the Astros are doing over there. I hate the Astros like the 90s Pistons. But when they buy a guy, especially for that money at 36 years old, you know they're doing it because they know that goddamn swing plays forever because it is compact. He does make hard contact a lot. And he's a great clubhouse guy, but I don't think the Astros give 2 shits about that. They know that swing plays. And I guarantee he's going to be a whale of a player for them for 3 years. And that's it. And you know what? Jerry Reinsdorf was an IRS lawyer. I did not know this until I researched the last couple of weeks on him, which for some reason to me, it says a lot that he was an IRS lawyer. He can give a shit less about the damn fans. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah. And to
I'm done.
Reinsdorf,
sell the fucking team.
Reinsdorf uses this team now. He didn't before, right? Because in the 90s, he was trying to win with the Bulls.
He uses
in the early 2000s, he was trying to win with the White Sox. But now he's just trying to make more money for his family moving forward. Like and it's painfully obvious. Like the moves that he's made, forcing Tony La Russa into the clubhouse and onto this team because he wanted to do a right that he felt he did wrong back in the late 80s. He wanted to undo something from 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that just suggests that, hey, I don't care. This is what I want to do. I don't care what we're doing. Even if everybody in the world other than me knows that it doesn't make sense, I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. Letting Jose Abreu walk is a mistake for the Chicago White Sox. Not filling holes at second base, as we've got conversation going on in the chat about second baseman and needing the second baseman. As Jeremiah says, they're going to go to spring training with freaking Romy Gonzalez at second, Johnny. Yeah. That's their plan. And then Johnny Torres chimes in and says, the fact of the matter is, if we got both the Sox and Cubs to make one team, we would still not make the playoffs. And Jeremiah says he's been quoted as saying he would rather have a second place team because the fans still have hope and he doesn't have to invest. Look, that is all owners in Chicago. I've said it. That was my premise on making the show because I was tired of hearing all of the Chicago sports talk about these teams and never admitting the thing that I've said for years and years now. Every owner in this town treats our teams like they are a small market team.
Yep.
They because we put so much money, we are Chicago sports fans. We are the best sports fans in the world. And we show up to see our teams play no matter what their record is. The Cubs were 40 games out of first place or something like that this year. I went to a game in September that was packed. Okay. And it was on September 29th. So it was like the last homestand of the season. And the stadium was packed because we love our teams. And owners don't care because at the end of the day, they're still making their money and they're not taking that money and returning on investment. They don't care about the fans. They don't.
Nope.
They don't care about us, and they're going to continue to do so. And until we get an ownership group in here that just wants to win and realizes how much more money than they're already making that they could make if they would win and spend the money on the team, then we're going to be resigned to what we're watching now. And that is mediocre talent in the greatest sports city in the world. I mean, that's just what it is. So we're about 10 minutes over our time here, but we had some very good conversation. We will be back next Sunday, 10 a.m., Man Hour Chicago. Guys, chime in, check in on the show during the week as well. We have I'll have stuff up on the Facebook page. Make sure you guys check out Southside Bags. They've got a tournament going on today in Lamont at 2 p.m. I believe registration usually starts about 1 p.m., usually about an hour beforehand. My guy Johnny Torres will be here. You've seen him in the chat. I'm going to try to be there today as well. We'll see. I don't know if the wife's going to let me, but we'll see. And we're gonna get some stuff going. Southside Bags is where it's at. Link is in the bio. Make sure you guys check them out. Until next weekend, Man Hour Nation, rise up.